Okay, when these 9 pans came out about 2 weeks ago, they sold out so quick, but I really do feel like they will probably start to come into stores, more Chanel boutiques, but also places like perhaps Nordstrom or Bloomingdale's, places that have a lot of Chanel presence. And I remember when I was making those videos and noticing how broad the colors were in here, I wondered if I could do a 5 looks 1 palette. And so I thought today I would start this adventure with the Space Traveler 9 pan. These are the highly intense, highly pigmented, duochrome, multi-chrome, mattes, satins, 9 pans. And so we're going to start today with Space Traveler and see how it goes. And then hopefully I can do some looks with the other 9 pan palettes, as well as the new Pat McGrath or the new Danessa Myricks. These ones that have kind of broader color stories that aren't so concentrated. Hopefully these will come back in stock very soon. And if you like the color stories or you like some of the looks that I create today, then I would consider grabbing it as soon as you can, or if you think it would make a nice gift. If you like this kind of content, I would encourage you to follow along, enjoy the 5 looks, plus the 2 looks I did in the initial preview video. Follow along, like, subscribe, and consider shopping my links. It really does help when these come available on the Chanel website. Unsolicited advice. Okay, let's get to the looks. So for the first look, let's go dark and smoky. You know, the most obvious blue look we can get out of this palette using kind of the top quadrant and the black. So on this one, we want to go really dramatic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on a Refer 13 Max, just a fluffy brush, the black color number 9. And I'm going to place that and kind of diffuse it out. The nice thing about these shadows, similar to Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona, is that they do kind of work themselves out, and these Chanel shadows really do. And if it gets to the point where you feel like you want even less pigment, just wipe off your brush with the excess product and use a clean brush or a brush that doesn't have that product on it, and you can really diffuse this look out. Now, like I said, I want to go heavy on the drama here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of water on a Refer 21, and I'm going to go into shade number 6, which is this gorgeous blacky blue shade, and I'm going to place that on the outer corner. I really like this shade. I think almost even more than the kind of bright blue that's in the middle of the palette. And as you can see, I'm not getting a lot of fallout with this, if any. Now, part of that is because I have a wet brush, but even when I used a dry brush, I've noticed that I didn't get a ton of fallout. So I'm going to switch over now to the blue that's in the middle of the palette, shade number 5. And I'm just going to kind of meet that up with the blue that's already down. And you can see that is a much shinier blue color, but a beautiful blue color nonetheless. And I'm just taking my number 13 Max and grabbing some of that original deep dark blue and just filling in that area. And I'll show you, if you're worried about a metallic getting in your crease, I'll show you a little trick in a minute with this palette that I think works really nicely. I would recommend doing your eyeshadow looks before you do your base. That is beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab number 2. Actually, no, let's not do that. I'm going to clean off my number 21 brush. And I'm going to grab number 3, which is this kind of holographic topper. And I'm going to grab that on my 21, and I'm going to wet that because I want a lot of impact with this. And I'm really going to fill kind of the first half of my eyelid with this color. And kind of merge the two together. So it really is kind of an ombre from light blue to the deepest blue. Now I said I was going for full drama here, but if you didn't want so much drama, you obviously could use a dry brush and it would be perfectly fine. I'm going to pat a little bit of that medium blue shade, number 5, just where they meet up. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a blending brush. This one's a Refer 27, and I'm going to grab a little bit of shade 4, which is this kind of beautiful pinky mauve color. I'm going to dust off excess, and then I'm going to just use that to soften the edge. Because this is such a deep and dark look, I very well may have to clean it up with a little bit of concealer, but that's fine. I think this pinky color works really nicely for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and take some of that and just run it under as well. Beautiful. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of that dark blue on a 21 and just connect a little bit on this outer portion. I'm going to leave the inside portion there empty, because at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wet brush again, and I'm going to grab number 2, which is just a beautiful color, a pinky blue holographic color, and I'm going to place that in that pocket under my eye. And don't worry about being too perfect, because we can clean this up with concealer. And then finally on my finger, my pinky, I'm just going to grab a little bit of number 3 because that makes a pretty inner eye color. Okay, so that's the first look, a very beautiful blue look. So let's go to something else a little different, and let's try something that really plays into the goldy colors that are in here. So I'm going to grab my 27 from Refer, and I'm going to grab shade 4, which is that beautiful kind of muted terracotta color. And I'm going to make a nice wash of that. I want this look to be more diffused, so I want to make sure that my pigment is staying below my crease. And then the more diffused kind of portion of the pigment is going above the crease. And I'm going to go ahead and run some of that on the under eye too. It's such a pretty color. So what I'm going to do now is grab a little bit of shade number 7, which is a kind of mid-toned brown, and put some on the outside corner. I'm going to try to keep this look a little bit softer, but still very dramatic. I'm actually going to just wash that across the lid, but keeping it more concentrated on that outer portion. Both of these shades, the brown and the kind of peaky color, would be beautiful one and dones. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab shade number 8, which is this beautiful orange to peach kind of duochrome shade, and I'm going to place it on the center of the lid. Now with these lighter colors, if you really want to make them stick, use like a Pat McGrath Intensify wand, but I'm very pleased with these. I find that they have high impact. With a finger, a little water does really well, and I just find that I'm not getting a lot of fallout. What I am going to do is I do want to kick that up on the main part of the lid, so I'm going to go back and grab a wet brush, and I'm going to grab even more of that beautiful shade number 8 on a wet brush, and I'm going to just pack it on. I'm going to take a smaller brush, and in this case I'm going to use a number 13 from Rephr, and I'm going to grab a little bit more of that brown color number 7, and I'm going to put more on the inner corner and more on the outer corner, because what I'm doing is I'm creating a softer halo eye. Again, dust off your brush or use a clean brush and work out those edges. Looks really pretty. Now the only inner eye color that's in this palette is that icy blue. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of that on my finger. Just a little bit. Just enough for a little bit of brightness, but not too much that it overtakes the look. And you can see that's a really pretty color. It's also a way of introducing that kind of icy blue into this warmer look. I'll finish it out with a little bit more of shade number 4, which I just really love. So these are our first 2 looks. Very different, very beautiful. And you know what? Let's amp this up just a little bit more over here and make it more editorial. This is certainly very pretty, but I'm going to take a little bit of number 1, which is this green, gold, red duochrome, and place it just in the center. And I'm going to tap it. I'm not going to swipe it. Just to add a little bit of dimension. Keep it fairly low. And it just adds a little something, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on some liners and mascara, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at the first 2 looks. Okay, so here are the first two looks. On this look over here, I went in with Valentino's Colorgraph liners, and this one is in the shade Baby Blue. It's a beautiful light blue. And for the mascara, I went in with Chanel's Amperscythe, which came out with this year's holiday collection. It's a dark blue-black kind of color. On this side over here, I really wanted to play up that rose kind of base color I put down. So I grabbed a rose liner. In this case, it's one called Soft Rose, and it's from Sephora collection. And I threw on a Lisa Eldridge Burnt Umber mascara. YSL is coming out with a burnt red kind of color that would look beautiful with this. I think it should be coming out anytime now. So these are our first two looks, something very blue and something a little bit more wearable, but it still has something kind of interesting going on with it. Both have beautiful pigmentation. So I'll throw in the pictures and video of these, and then we'll move on to the next ones. Okay, we're back now, and I just put on a little concealer and powdered my eyelids a little bit. They may be very raw in the next few days, but I think it's important to see different things we can do with this palette because these are expensive, and I want to see, you know, how many different kinds of looks we can achieve. So on this next set, I think what my goal is going to be to try to do things that really blend the warmer side of the palette with the cooler side of the palette. And so for this next look, I'm going to start again with number 4, that beautiful kind of rosy brown color. And I'm going to place this in my crease. A wash. And then along the actual lid itself, I'm going to place it much kind of heavier. I want it to be more opaque down here. It is a really pretty color. Be a great one and done. Or if you have some of those like liquid Chanel shadows, it could be really pretty over this. And I'll go ahead and do a little bit under as well. So on this outer corner over here, I want to keep it pretty tight with the brown, that kind of brownish color, number 7. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of it and kind of stamp it, just for a little hint of depth, but that's not really the point of this look. I just want a little bit of depth there. Remember, the goal of this look is to try to merge the warm and the cool. And with whatever left on the brush, I'll just do a gentle wash through the crease, but we're not going for something very dark and heavy here. Okay, so next I'm going to go into shade number 2, that very popular blue-purple shade. And I'm going to take it on my finger, but I'm not going to swipe it. I'm going to just pat it and just get kind of a light dusting of it. And I'm going to place it over the lid, kind of a sparkle effect, a twinkle effect. Just to show you how beautiful these warmer pinks and browns merge with this really beautiful purple color, this duochrome purple-blue color. Now that I have that kind of scattered, I'm going to take a more concentrated amount, and this time I actually will swirl it, and just place it towards the bottom here. It's always easier to build the color up and start scattered and then get more concentrated than it is the other way around. Okay, for the inner portion, I'm going to grab that beautiful white blue shade. But I'm really going to diffuse this into that pinky duochrome shade. And I'm going to grab just a little bit more of that pinky shade number 4 and run it along the bottom here. It's a really pretty look. Okay, I'm going to grab a number 21 and I'm going to wet the brush. And I'm going to grab shade number 6. And what I'm going to do here is do a liner with this deep dark blue. And of course, if it goes in a direction that you're not comfortable with or that you don't like, you can always take concealer or a little bit of like a micellar water on a brush and clean up the edge. But I don't mind this not being perfect. I think it looks really pretty. So we'll come back and do lashes with that one in a second. On the other side, let's go in real ham on the blue, and I want to see how shade number 5, because I have a feeling that's going to be a popular one in here, is going to look diffused in the crease. So I'm going to grab shade number 5 on a smaller fluffy brush. In this case, it's a 13. And I'm going to place some on the outer portion here and keep it relatively low. And then I'm going to take more of it and run it through the crease. You can see that it does work and it's not terribly textured. And if you want it even more diffused, you obviously can take your brush and either clean it off or grab a new brush and just work out that corner. But this blue does not have to be as intimidating for those who may not like blue. So I'm going to grab a little bit of shade number 6, which is that deep dark kind of sapphire blue, and I'm going to place that on this inner corner. Keep it relatively tight in there. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of shade number 6 on a Rephr 21 and carry it along the bottom here. But not all the way. And don't worry about being perfect, because we're going to come back and diffuse in a minute. Now we've left the bulk of the lid open, and this might seem like a strange combination, but we'll see how it works. I really do want to see what it looks like to blend the warmer with the cool colors. So I'm going to grab number 1, that really kind of superstar green, gold, red shade, And I'm gonna place it in the center of my lid, but I'm gonna leave as much blue as I can for this kind of crease. So I'm overlapping on this side, but I'm not going up high enough to cover the blue. I just want to join them up at the crease. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this inner portion is grab shade number 8, which is that red gold duochrome, and it's more of a satin. It's less glittery than the first one, and I'm going to place that on the inner portion. Again, blending to that first color, but not overtaking that blue. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab my number 27 and a dusting of shade number 4, and we're going to diffuse that blue out just a little bit with this pinky rose color. Trust the process on this. I know. I did practice this one the other day, and I thought it looked pretty good when it was all done. Unique is what I would say. I'm going for kind of a solar system effect here, of the warm to the cool colors. And grab a little bit more of 27, on 27 of shade number 4, and bring that on down here. I'm going to remove any excess product from the brush. And just continue to diffuse and bring that pink and blue together. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of shade number 8, that duochrome color. And I'm going to place it and try to get as much of a concentrated color as I can on that inner portion. And obviously I can take some of that first duochrome, shade number 1, and match that up as well. I want those to blend together pretty seamlessly. I'm going to go back in with a 13 and grab just a little bit more of that deep dark blue and just pack it on that corner for any that might have been lost in the blending. I'm going to remove excess product. Just bring this down a little bit. I don't want extra product on there because you don't really want to darken that too much. So I'm going to grab the inner eye duochrome shade and place it on the corner here. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of shade number 8, that orange to red color. And I'm going to bring it above that blue, just to reintroduce that orangey fire color up here. You can always grab your brush and diffuse more, but this is a more graphic look. On the bottom, I'm going to grab a little bit more of number 5, that vibrant blue. And merge those together. And then of course my little trick on the inner tear duct here, I'm going to grab a little bit of shade number 1, that really multi-chrome, and just introduce it right here. So this is definitely a more editorial look, but I really like the way the cool and the warm play together. And I think that if you don't over blend it and you just work on blending the lines where things meet, I think you can have this really kind of interesting, cool effect. Now the other thing you can do is gently tap that number 3 shade, that bluish white shade. Gently tap it and then just kind of gently place it a scatter. And it just introduces kind of a unifying agent, so there's just a little bit of that blue that's gone over it. And that would be there if you didn't like it so much, you know, as kind of strong orange and strong blue as before. This would kind of diffuse it together. So I'm gonna put on some liner and lashes, and we'll be lashes. Okay, liner and mascara, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I threw on some black mascara, and I have on kind of an orangey rose colored liner, but you could use your favorite. I didn't want to do blue over here because I didn't want it to become too dark. And then over here, it just made more sense to go with something a little bit more pinky. But one thing I really wanted to do was just throw on like a liquid liner, because I so infrequently use them, but I think it would look really cool with this look. So I'm gonna grab a liquid liner, and this is black, and this is actually from Stila. I really like this liquid liner that has the double tip, because this has the smallest tip, kind of like the Tom Ford. And I'm gonna run that I don't know if you've seen the latest photos of the new Chanel collection that launched this week under their new creative director. But that's really what inspired this look of kind of playing with the dark blue sky and then like an orangey red color like Mars. Because this new collection was all based on sort of astronomy and the planets. Okay, so we've kept that kind of a very dramatic wing. I need to apologize because my eyes are watering, and so it's not showing up as well as it should. But I think you get the point. I think it looks really cool and interesting. I think it would look better if that line was straight and there wasn't water coming down it. That looks better. I'm going to clean that up with just a little bit of concealer, and I'll be right back. Okay, I was struggling a little bit with those, and then I realized what was going on. I did not like the liner in the waterline, so I replaced it. On this side over here, I have Victoria Beckham in the shade Orchid, which is a beautiful smoky purple color. And on this side over here, I did Victoria Beckham in Copper, because I really wanted to play up that coppery, fiery orange color. And I think it's made all the difference in the world with that and cleaning it up a little bit. So we'll take the pictures and then I'll throw them in, and then we'll do one final look and talk a little bit about the palette. Okay, bye. Okay, I want this last look to really lean in heavy on shade number 1, that beautiful duochrome gold, green, red shade. So I'm going to keep this one fairly simple, and I'm glad that it has kind of a red base to it because my eye also now has a red base to it. But you know, this is what we do in the name of experimentation. So I'm going to grab a Rephr number 14, one of my favorite brushes from Rephr, and I'm going to grab the shade number 7, which is that kind of mid-toned brown, and I'm going to run that on the outer corner and along the crease. I want this one to be kind of a warm look. But you know, this is a predominantly cool palette. And I'm actually going to place that a much more concentrated amount along the mobile lid. This is a pretty mid-tone brown color. And I'm going to run some under while I'm at it. Okay, so now I'm going to take a clean brush, or one that's just got all the color removed from it, and just work out those edges just a little bit. I think that this is going to work just fine, but if you really wanted it more diffused, you could use a little bit of that shade number 4, or you could bring in just some of your favorite powder if you wanted to diffuse it just a little bit more. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and you know what? I'm going to grab my Pat McGrath Intensify wand because I really want this one to show, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I grabbed my Pat McGrath Intensify wand, but you could use your favorite glitter glue. I just find this product so easy to use. And I'm going to put a bit of it over the lid, and I'm actually going to do a little bit on the inner corner as well, and that inner tear duct portion. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my finger and I'm going to go ham with shade number 1, that beautiful duochrome shifty shade. It's so shifty the camera's having trouble picking it up. I'm going to put this all over the bulk of the lid. It's a really special color. I'm still shocked we got these from Chanel, of all people. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with some of that brown color number 6 and just deepen up that corner. This would be a beautiful kind of fall look. Real interesting with this duochrome. And I'm going to grab a little bit of that duochrome on a very small brush, and I'm just going to place some on the lower lashes. It'd be nice if I could learn to speak. Ooh, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow. I know it. Beauty. I don't think that was the way that song went, but that's okay. Look how beautiful that is when you put that dark brown over that corner there. And look, if you really wanted to smoke this up, which why not? I'm going to grab a bulk of that dark brown, but just the slightest little bit of that black. I'd say it's 3/4 brown, 1/4 black. Just to give an extra amount of depth right there. I find the black that's in this palette to be fairly manageable. Now, obviously, if you don't want something so smoky, you wouldn't have to do that. Grab a little bit more of that gold green and just tap that edge where the two meet. Really, really pretty. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of that goldy green color and just carry it on over because it's a really pretty color. But this part here will have no base under it, so it's going to appear brighter. Okay, I'm going to throw mascara on and then we will come back and kind of do a final look with this. Okay, hi. Okay, so I put Burnt Umber from Lisa Eldridge in the waterline, as well as the corresponding mascara. She doesn't have a liquid liner of this yet, but she did hint that it was coming. But I did grab the Stila in brown, and I'm just gonna define that along the line, just a little bit along the lash line. I don't know why, I tend to use liquid liners more in the fall and winter. So what do we think? I think that's a really cool look. I'll throw the pictures in and the video, and then we'll come back. Okay. Okay, so the eyes are a little bit of fire, but I think what we've seen today is you can get 5 very different looks, plus the 2 I did on the original review video with this palette. I think it's so interesting, and I actually think that these 2 that are currently on my eyes might be my favorites. This one over here looks like I used about 8 shadows, and I really only used 3. The 2 mattes that are in here, actually just the matte brown and the little tiny bit of the matte black, and then that shade number 1, which is just a gorgeous gold, green, red shift. And then this over here, I think is just such a unique way of doing it. It's kind of like creating a reverse cut crease with the darker color on the crease and the lighter one blending in on the lid. So I think we've got some very distinct looks here today, and I am very pleased with this palette, and I know that when it comes back into stock, it will be highly coveted. But if this is a color story that you like or you think would make a great gift for somebody, then I'd strongly recommend getting it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll try to do some more 5 looks 1 palette with all these interesting palettes we've had come out for the holidays that have a lot of diversity of shadows in them. Pat McGrath, the other Chanel's, Danessa Myricks. But feel free to copy me, greatest form of flattery. Like, subscribe, follow along, and consider shopping my links. I really would appreciate it. So let me know, did you like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Okay, bye everyone.